Finally, the Seattle Seahawks get some good injury news. This team has been absolutely snake-bitten all season long, but you're going to get some players that were on the injury report back on the active roster, and I'm going to tell you all about that on today's video. Welcome into Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I want to make sure that you get the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. It's free, and most importantly, I'm going to make sure that as soon as there is breaking news for your Seattle Seahawks, I get a video out on the channel. You're not going to want to miss it. Best way to do that is go in and smash that subscribe button. Now, it isn't a secret. Your Seattle Seahawks defense really, and boy, do I mean really, struggled last Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some of that was because Baker Mayfield is playing at an MVP level right now. But some of that was because your defense is beat up. They are hurt, and they need to get healthier. Finally feels like you're starting to see some of those players make their way back onto the field. I mean, just look at the injury report that you had going into that Tampa Bay game. You got Josh Jones out. Hey, man, that's a big loss there on the offensive line because there's your swing tackle. But the next three guys, those are the big key guys that you are missing. DeMarcus Lawrence not being able to go. Julian Love not being able to go. Devon Witherspoon not being able to go. Those are three guys that are big stars in your defense. And most importantly, with Love and with Witherspoon, they're both in the secondary. That is a position group in that corners and safety crew where it just feels like everybody and their brother is hurt. But don't worry, because reinforcements are on the way. You really saw Seattle miss out on Spoon and on DeMarcus Lawrence specifically because in their position rooms, there just isn't a lot of depth with the amount of injuries that they have. DeMarcus Lawrence's backup, Derrick Hall, obviously getting injured, as well as Reek Woolen getting injured in that cornerback room. Mike Macdonald did have this to say in one of his weekly press conference that he had going out early on in the week. He said that Spoon, Devon Witherspoon, and D-Law, DeMarcus Lawrence, are going to try and practice in the middle of this week. Does that mean Thursday? Does that mean Friday? He wasn't going to go into too much detail on it himself in that moment. Right now, there's no injury designation, but it does sound like they are going to practice, and then they'll take it from there. That's huge. Because in my eyes, if DeMarcus Lawrence and Devon Witherspoon are able to go out and practice, that means that they are going to play on Sunday, especially a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, where his injury is more of a quad bruise type of deal. Is he able to work through it? Where like Devon Witherspoon's, when you got a knee issue, I mean, we saw it. He came back for the Cardinals game after missing weeks 2 and 3. He ended up having to miss your last game because his knee just wasn't right there. So DeMarcus Lawrence coming back, I want to dive into him first before I get into Devon Witherspoon. And his return will completely fix, or mostly fix, some of the deficiencies that you saw in that rush edge position in Seattle. Now, it's going to work in two different ways. The first way is DeMarcus Lawrence's rushing ability to stop the run games. Right now, he's turned into a complete outside zone stopper. Now, was that a huge deal against Tampa Bay? No, until it was. Remember, at the very end of the game, Tampa Bay ran a play that was off tackle. Rachaad White gets past Tyrese Knight, gets the first down, slides down. Tampa Bay is able to go and kick a field goal to win that one. Now, if DeMarcus Lawrence is in the game, maybe he's at that end position. He isn't able to be pushed down too far inside. Tyrese Knight then doesn't have to overcompensate Phil too far up into the gap. And maybe you're able to stop Rachaad White. And while Tampa Bay would have been able to kick a field goal, they would have had to have left more time on the clock for your Seattle Seahawks. When we look at the edge position depth chart right now, that's why I want to talk about the second reason. You don't have a true rush edge if DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't go. What do I mean by that? If DeMarcus Lawrence isn't healthy and cannot play, Hall is out already. He had an oblique injury. We did a video on the channel. If you haven't had an opportunity to go check that out, you need to go and check that out. With that core injury, he's going to be out for an extended period of time. He's going to miss at least the Jaguars game. Probably doesn't come back until after the bye week. So that means you're either going with the rookie, Jared Ivey, all by himself, or you're kind of piecing things together until you can get healthy. DeMarcus Lawrence coming back completely fixes that issue. Lawrence is a lockdown edge run defender. Early in his career, he was great at getting after the quarterback. He's not really that type of guy anymore. There's still a lot of value for him because what it does is it forces teams to double team him. Now Uchenna Nwosu isn't being double teamed. Now Boye Mafe isn't being double teamed. There are less opportunities for teams to double Leonard Williams or Byron Murphy, right? When you are at your full complement in Seattle on that defensive line, we've seen just how good they were. You've played one game without DeMarcus Lawrence. In that game, you had your lowest pressures and lowest QB hits, and you only ended up getting a sack in that game. Is that all completely because of DeMarcus Lawrence? No, but it takes one to make the whole. The minute you take one piece away, that can be a big issue for you. The other big reason to getting DeMarcus Lawrence back being huge is Travis Etienne Jr. Now, some of you might say, well, Tank Bigsby, that was the big running back in Jacksonville for so long. Not anymore. Right now, Etienne Jr. is running the ball highly effectively. He's a top 5 rusher in the NFL. He's got over 400 yards so far in the season, and his running ability opens things up for that passing game. They're just like you. They want to run the football to open up the pass. Well, if you can stop that rushing attack from Jacksonville, hey, all of a sudden, now Trevor Lawrence has to beat you. I like those odds with this defense. What say you? How are you feeling about the potential return of Spoon and D-Law? Championship back on? Playoffs back on? Maybe you're somewhere in between, in the middle? Let me know down below in the comments. We're going to talk about Devon Witherspoon and his return from his injury in a second, but first I want to talk to you about today's proud sponsor, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones are overhyped, make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. You can see my 2-pick power play for Sunday. Sam Darnold, more passing yards against Jacksonville. Daniel Jones, more passing yards against the Cardinals' shoddy defense. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Devon Witherspoon looks like he's on track to return. Now, there was some fears in Seattle, myself included, when you have a player that returns from an injury but then immediately goes back onto the injury report like Witherspoon did, you kind of wonder if he rushed back to get on the field. You kind of wonder if the coaching staff may have rushed him back. Honestly, it's probably a combination of everybody rushing him to get back because of how good Devon Witherspoon is. Hopefully, he has now finally had enough time off that knee and MCL bruise will be completely healed because you need him at 100% health, ready to go. When you look in this cornerback depth chart right now, it is scary. So think about this. Josh Jobe, he's 100% healthy. No fears, no worries. We're good to go. Reek Woolen, he's in concussion protocol. He might not be able to go. Well, okay, Darian Kendrick will step up for him then. Well, if Devon Witherspoon isn't able to go like he wasn't able to go last Sunday, that means you're going to have to find a new nickel. Sometimes Seattle was using Nick Emmanwori. Sometimes they were using Ty Okada. Sometimes they were using Darian Kendrick. But if you don't have Reek Woolen and Devon Witherspoon, that means you've got multiple backups going and potentially having to see a lot of Nehemiah Pritchett on the field. Not here to call anyone out. Pritchett really struggled on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I want to talk about this fact that I kind of went through and figured out, and frankly, it was shocking to me. Remember, going into the year, the way Seattle wanted to attack it was Reek Woolen would be one of your starters at corner, Devon Witherspoon would be one of your starters at corner, and then because Josh Jobe played so well, Witherspoon would either bounce out to nickel or Nick Emmanwori would be the nickel, and Witherspoon would still stay on the outside. You have had 5 plays where the Seattle Seahawks starting defensive back group has been able to play together. Now, I am throwing Nick Emmanwori as a starter in that, right? So it would be Reek Woolen at one of the corners or Josh Jobe and Devon Witherspoon. 5 plays into the season, Nick Emmanwori got hurt, and ever since then, it's been a revolving door of corners and safeties and anyone in that secondary getting hurt. I cannot wait to see what this secondary unit can play like once they are 100% healthy. And they need to get 100% healthy right now because the defensive line was doing a lot of piggybacking for them, right? They were carrying them over their shoulder because they were getting into the backfield. They were making plays. They weren't giving opposing quarterbacks enough time to throw against this secondary. Well, finally, I think you saw last Sunday, those injuries catch up, and you saw what happens when a team keeps 7 in the box to not let that defensive line get after the quarterback. Seattle's secondary has to get healthy so that they can take some of the pressure off this defensive line. I feel weird about the next one because the positive injury news that you are getting for the Seahawks is everyone returning. And unfortunately, injuries are part of the game. And the Jacksonville Jaguars did have an injury to their tight end, Brenton Strange. He is not going to be available for this game. He's out with a quad injury. He's going to be on the IR for 4 weeks. I'm not celebrating an injury to Brenton Strange. But what I am saying is when you are the Seattle Seahawks and you have a bunch of injuries in your secondary, in your defense, you need all the help you can get. And if that means there's one less playmaker for Trevor Lawrence, that's going to be a good thing for your football team. It means there's one less thing to prepare for, or there's one less mismatch that can be sought out and used against you. So right now with Jacksonville not having a ton of injuries, they got a little bit banged up on the O-line, but now they're going to be without one of their top tight ends. It is going to help make life a little bit easier on your defense there in Seattle. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Right now, we are on the road to 73,000 subscribers. We're basically 300 subs away. So make sure you come in, subscribe to the channel, because you're going to want to get as much Seattle Seahawks content as you possibly can throughout the 2025 football season. Until next time, I'll see you later.